I'm going to go ahead and do that later on today.
Yeah, it's definitely freedom. It does feel as though our culture is not our culture is not just in a state of collapse. It is in a state of active destruction of everything that is valuable. I've been saying that we don't have a culture and a counterculture the way we used to, where there was sort of this dominant traditional culture and there was a counterculture that challenged some of those things but created its own culture. Now we just have an anti-culture, and that anti-culture is just dreck designed to tear down things. And that seems like what the Grammys basically become. It's just a bunch of garbage designed to tear down traditional structures and institutions at any cost. And then you're rewarded for doing that, apparently.
Yeah, to me personally, I think for a lot of Americans, it sort of feels like we're actually under attack. Like this it doesn't seem real. You know what I mean? And I know that I don't believe that the average American thinks that that is good, right? And yet we see that it's being promulgated in the culture. We see that it's being perpetuated. We see that people are being held up as idols when they do these sorts of things. So it makes you wonder who's promoting it, right? Who is behind this push to tear down American culture, to tear down American values, and to fundamentally weaken America at the same time, right? Because that's what you're doing, right? You're destroying values, and in the process, it always seems to me to be an attack on the family, what it means to be a family. Promoting whether it's the trans agenda, whether it's the lesbian agenda, whatever it is, it always seems to be this attack on tradition, cultural values, making men strong, making women strong. Making women strong and keeping families together.
So I also wanted to ask you about the most victimized person in American and British society these days. That, of course, would be Meghan Markle, who is the most victimized princess in the history. I mean, thoughts and prayers to Meghan Markle, the most victimized person in the history of humanity. I have to say by law, apparently, that I believe her when she makes any accusation of any sort. Because if I don't say that I believe her, then I lose my job. Like Sharon Osbourne is about to lose her job, or like Piers Morgan lost his job, according to the dictates of the Constitution of the United States, and apparently all of the founding documents in Britain, according to Magna Carta. We have to agree with Meghan Markle's self-perception of victimhood, and also her protestations that she didn't marry into the royal family for any career purpose. She actually gave up her career, it turns out, to become a princess and then have a line of business at Netflix and then also run for president. I mean, it's an amazing, I would say, not even a horizontal career move. She had to take a downgrade from her job as a second-rate actress on Suits to do all of this. So really,
second-rate. Seems a little dishonest. I'm going D-list. I feel like everyone's now promoting her to the B-list. We had no idea who she was prior to Harry. Not a single prior to Harry. Not a single American. She was off in Canada somewhere doing some show that nobody's heard of. But I'm glad that we've upgraded her to second-rate actress. And you are right. I'm glad that you're not questioning her narrative. As you know, even the Bible tells us women never lie, right? In that chapter of Genesis, women have never done anything wrong. And so she's obviously telling the truth about everything that's happened for her. Look, she's an opportunist. And the thing about her is she was a D-list actress, and now she is again being a D-list actress. No one's buying it. Actually, there was a poll that showed that her likability went down. Which was pretty hard because it was floating at somewhere like 23%. And now people like her even less because she's just not good at selling victimhood. She's not a good victim. There's people that you go, oh, okay, they're lying, but I'm inclined to believe them. There's nothing about her story that makes any sense, especially when you say you had no idea who Prince Harry was, right? You had no idea who the royal family was. You thought you were going to walk in and shake the Queen's hand. I didn't know that I had to curtsy or do anything polite. I thought, who is this woman? Isn't she just your grandma? So she's so ridiculous, but the serious thing about this is that she's so emblematic of leftist culture, of what Hollywood is and what America is going through. The Brits are very surprised by this suddenly castigating all of the UK as racist and fundamentally backwards because they don't have the same history as America. And for me, it really hits home because my husband obviously is British. He grew up in London. His father is a lord. His mother is a lady. So it's so frustrating for me to see her try to export America's obsession with race to the British people who just don't care about this sort of stuff. They just don't like you. And it's this weird thing. All of a sudden, then minorities have this card in life where if we go through anything bad, if somebody doesn't like us, it can never be just because
let's go.
It can never be just because life sucks or because people don't like us. It's always because I'm Black, I'm a woman. So if you don't like me, it's your fault and you have a problem and you need to change it.
We'll get to more with Candace in just 1 second. And if you're betting on the future of Western culture, well, that's a bad bet. But here's the thing. You can have a lot of fun betting on sports. March is here, and March Madness has officially begun. It is time for you to shoot your shot, score big, with nonstop action with MyBookie. Select the winners from 63 tournament games. It is what it is. It is what it is. And games in the MyBookie bracket contest for a chance at 10 grand in cash prizes. It is only $1 to enter. It doesn't matter whether you're filling out multiple brackets, betting the national championship winner, or simply looking for player and game props. MyBookie has you covered. Sign up today at mybookie.ag. Use promo code Shapiro to secure a deposit bonus up to $1,000. That's promo code Shapiro to claim your first deposit bonus. College ball, NBA, NHL, no matter the sport, no matter the minute, MyBookie puts the I
remember thinking at the time of the wedding, and I was doing some work for Fox News on the wedding. I remember thinking, why is Oprah Winfrey there? I mean, Meghan met her once. I think she planned a big Hollywood career on the back of being a princess right from the very word go. And what nonsense. Very word go. And that Harry was just too weak to deal with it. But just look at the accusations that are being made. Look at the charge against the royal family of racism. Now, everyone knows when a baby's on the way, there's always speculation. What will it look like? Who will he or she look like? What colour will their hair be? How big will they be? What will they weigh? I don't know whether somebody in the royal household made a comment about what the colour might be. I don't know the truth of that. I really honestly don't. But when Meghan was questioned on that, did somebody in the royal household ask what colour the baby would be, she said potentially. Either way we won't know. But it is the slur of racism against the royal family which really upsets me. The Queen is coming up now for 70 years, not just as the Queen of our country, but head of the Commonwealth.
Today. I said, wait a minute.
Of the Commonwealth. She and the royal family have ceaselessly, over the decades, toured around the Commonwealth, something that has meant so much to them. The vast majority of the 2.3 billion people that live in the Commonwealth are Asian or black. You could argue the royal family have done more for people of colour than any other family or group of people in the world. So that charge, to me, just doesn't stand up. As for this whole business about mental health, about bullying, about being silenced, well, she might have thought she was joining a soap opera, but she was joining the royal family. Maybe she thought she was going to replace Lady Di. Maybe she thought she was going to be the centre of all attention. But the idea that she has somehow been done down or discriminated against in any way is nonsense. The crowds that were there.
Come on now, dog.
Crowds that were there on the day of the royal wedding. The street parties that took place across the country. The media. It was wall to wall. Do you remember her going to Brixton? They were cheering, "We love you, Meghan." I can't think of anything. Any negativity in the press at the time of their wedding. Sure, criticism followed. It always does if you're a public figure with the English tabloid press. That goes with the territory. But this all started because Harry and Meghan were lecturing us about climate change, about carbon emissions, whilst flying around the world in private jets. And that was when the criticism began. So off they went to Canada, to live in isolated Canada, because they didn't want the press speculation, really.
And I thought that Jane Paul,
wait for it,
who incidentally has had huge problems with manic depression and suicidal tendencies. So I think she was as convinced about Meghan's suicidal ideation as I was. And when I was growing up as a teenager and I was as trapped as I was, I had to face the fact that suicide might actually end up being the only viable alternative to solving my
Are you serious?
problems. So, and also I am an ambassador for SOS Silence of Suicide, which Michael Mansfield, the famous advocate, created because his daughter died from suicide. And you know, I mean, it's a hugely important topic. And to have this little, filthy little artificial scrubber pretending that she has had suicidal ideation when it's quite obvious.
Wait for it.
She hasn't. First of all, if you have at all contemplated suicide, you don't smile while talking about it. No. It is truly offensive that you would be smiling while talking about it. And this faux nobility.
Fact.
Oh, I'm going to take a hit for people. I mean, she's taking a hit for. It is so offensive. But
she's taking a hit for lying, isn't she? That's what she's taking the hit for. That's the only criticism that she's had. We know she's lying.
Yeah. But she's pretending that she's setting herself up to be reviled because she's so noble. She has to be one of the most
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Noble personalities I have ever had the displeasure of encountering in public life. She is truly an appalling human being. I thought that Jane Pauley handled it brilliantly because Jane
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
Pauley was really quite mocking of her.
Well, she was. And actually, you could tell that Meghan was not liking Jane Pauley at all. I actually want to show you another moment where that becomes really clear, Lady C. So let's watch along.
Okay.
The two of you, this is, it's a modest beginning. You know, it's not an army of parents yet.
No.
But what are your ambitions?
I think you have to start somewhere.
Oh my God!
I think the simplest thing that anyone watching this or anyone who's able to make change, to look at it through the lens of what if it was my daughter? What if it was my son? My son or my daughter who comes home, who are joyful, who I love, and one day, right under my roof, our entire lives change because of something that was completely out of our control. And if you look at it through the lens as a parent, there is no way to see that any other way than to try to find a solution.
Oh, it was just a lovely dig, wasn't it, Lady C? Modest beginning, and you can just see Meghan raging inside. But
well, you know, Jane Pauley's a very, very good interviewer, and she's very professional. And she knows about
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Suffering. She is a victim herself of suicidal ideation and of manic depression. You know, you can't fool the real ones. And she managed, to make it as earthed as it was possible. But what I found really offensive is that Meghan is pushing a censorship agenda on the back of,
wait for it,
parents who have lost their children to suicide.
Oh, no.
And she has no concept of the issues involved, and she is invalidating the parents'
okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
experience. And indeed, the motivation that drove these children to suicide, with coming up with her rubbish. I mean, it is so truly offensive to anybody who knows anything about the subject. And I have no doubt that Jane Pauley was instructed, as you will have been on many an occasion when you were with GB News, or where.
A few